Spider-Man, Spider-Man, did we ever Spider-Man? At the moment, I'm going to say Spider-Verse is the best, and overall. However, there's no doubt this movie is number one, in my opinion. So, yes, and I'm even talking about Spider-Man No Way Home, the third film of the John Watts Home trilogy, with Tom Holland starring as the main Spider-Man. Yes, you heard me. But, blame the internet at this point for already spoiling everything. But I tried to stay away from it as much as possible, so I'm sorry for the lighting and everything. I'm doing this a little last minute here and there with the reviews, so it happens. But hopefully you can see and at least hear what I have to say. I'm not the best quality. If you want something better, I understand. But if you like what I have to say and my thoughts, oh, dude. I almost just want to go straight into spoilers. All you need to know, this is like what you've seen in the trailers does happen. Yes, Goblin's great. Octopus is great. Doc Ock, Dr. Octopus is great. And Doc Ock, I'd say, seems he's more a different kind of role than what you would expect. Eventually, comes down the line, but yeah, I liked it, and it seems. I love the chemistry between him and the villains, and William Dafoe's it is Dafoe, and it is his Goblin, and he's even better in this movie, way even more than he ever was in the first movie. Just fuck me running. Oh. Sorry. But yeah, oh my god. Shame he's not going to be considered an Avenger anymore. I'm going to call bullshit. I hope he gets to be Avenger again. But anyways. Though I understand why, because they end things with this, but before we get to that, John Watts directs. Tom Holland plays his best Spider-Man he's ever played. We're getting 3 other movies, and it's clear the way they're setting those movies up, it's going to seem like, or at least it's still going to be under MCU, luckily, if we're going to get another 3 movies. And the way this movie is set up, it turns out, this entire trilogy, it leaves off from him finding out about his secret identity through Mysterio. Everyone knows, and we see how it affects his life to the point where he has to do what he has to do. And it realizes it's to the point where it also affects his friends. That he can't get in, but he's more worried about the fact that those associated with him can't live their lives and have to be blacklisted because of his own actions. And it's and to him, that's not fair. That's not fair. So but instead of, and they address certain things about what he should have done immediately thinking about it instead of, and that's the thing, because he's just a teenager that just kind of thinks on his feet. And now he's learning that he can't do stuff like that. Now, and I love that it took all this stuff for him to finally learn from those types of mistakes, especially now that he's a teenager starting to become a young adult, since the focus is him going into colleges and stuff. So, and now they can treat him more like he's becoming an adult, or at least a young adult. And I loved how the villains are handled. They handled Max Dillon. Jamie Foxx's Max Dillon is better. Is a much better. The villains that we loved from those Raimi movies are better. They gave us at least the one villain we didn't hate, and that wasn't really a villain necessarily, and he was fine in this movie. We kind of got our Sinister Six without Yeah, we kind of had our Sinister Six or five or something weird like that. Mm, yeah, well, that's what we did. Get is those Sinister Six. So, and it kind of worked in that way. It was quite interesting, really. And it somehow, and what's great is some characters come in that are now considered canon. That's great, and all this other stuff. Strange's moments are great. Marissa Tomei's Aunt May. Oof. Jon Favreau's Happy Hogan has been nice. But yeah. At this point, not spoilers. You've been warned already. So, what happens is that it affects his family, his friends. They're trying to get in MIT, all this stuff. And this is to the point where he decides instead to go straight to Strange, where he looks at the Halloween mess and it makes him think about Strange and goes to him to help him cast a spell to help him deal with it. Instead of... because he's a young teenage kid who has no father figure, he doesn't have another form of parental, and plus they do lawyer up, but they don't focus too much on it, luckily. Just enough to finally say Matt Murdock, fucking Daredevil, the Netflix one, is fucking canon, which already was sort of exploited a little bit because the Kingpin version of that is canon because of Hawkeye, which is why we should probably say Hawkeye. I don't know if this means, by doing this, does that mean the first 2 to 3 seasons of Daredevil are kind of canon? Because by that logic, that would mean Punisher should count. Unless they're just going to dox that Punisher as just that season. I don't know. I do think they should slowly try to get back some of those, like, now those characters are legit canon now, and I love that. At least those 2 characters, for the very least. I don't know if they're going to slowly but surely bring in some of the other Defenders that deserve to come back. Don't know why they're... In fact, I almost kind of sort of want to see if they could kind of work that with Shang-Chi, but I don't know. They should, because that's... Right now, Shang-Chi's its own little thing. But I do like how they're handling Shang-Chi. I want to see how they do that. I need to see Eternals and Shang-Chi and see how that all works together. I probably now have to see Black Widow because of the tie-ins that it has now with Hawkeye. Just to see Hawkeye proper, I guess. But, yeah, I wanted to see this movie regardless because I've been waiting to see how this was going to go over. I didn't even bother to see the Venom movies. I didn't think I needed to. And it turns out you kind of really don't, but you kind of do. But you kind of really don't, given how this because of the cameo scene. The only good thing about it is now they found a way to get Venom. That through this, they found a way to sneak the symbiote portion of Venom in and give us a more proper black suit costume Venom, and we might get a better Venom. Now, I don't know if the plan is we're going to get a different Eddie Brock, probably, because now he'll be in MIT, maybe. Because I think by the point of this movie, I don't know if he's still in high school, or if I guess he's still in high school now, but I'm guessing that he still might be for a little bit, and then I think they might focus on him eventually being in college, maybe. Maybe they'll fast forward to that. Him now being in college, I guess, and Eddie's part of his class, I guess, and he eventually becomes him, I guess, after... I don't know how they'll handle the later movies, but hopefully they'll do... I know after this they'll do good, because Home Trilogy was, all in of itself, its own origin story. Straight up. The way they handle this thing, and they tries to go to Emma, figure that in, and then after talking to Strange, making him realize he should have just went and talked to the board of one of the headmaster or whatever, Mr. Headmistress or whatever for MIT or whatever. and scolds him like he should be scolded. And he already lost another father figure. He has no like male guidance proper. And Hogan doesn't do the best either about it. But and you see how it affects him and how the world tries to treat him on both sides of it. And I loved him catching the brick and everything. And him telling Happy, no, you need a lawyer. But it seems like May kind of might have known, potentially, about him being a superhero lawyer because of him knowing with Peter, or else he wouldn't have hired him. So, but he knows that he's not in any, luckily he tells him no, he's not in any immediate bad trouble, but good luck, but from this point forward, good luck getting into anything. Because now you're considered a wanted fugitive, all this stuff, and it blemishes your record and enough to where it affects you. And it sucks which at first he's like, fine, whatever, up until he finds out how it affects his friends who deserve to get into, who they themselves deserve to get in. And they've been waiting so long through every other time with them, with all these lists to get into college over the past few years, and then nothing. And it sucks because now they can't do what they need to do to figure out the rest of their lives and stuff. So, and that's why he does the spell, and he can't decide what he should have told, and he wants his Aunt May, his girlfriend, he tries to basically get all those people specifically that he wants to have remember him. But by the time it happens, it got so bad he had to enclose it. But by the time it did, not realizing it, it wound up opening an even bigger portal to everyone involved that knew Spider-Man. Which resulted in the other movie verses, specifically villains coming out and taking over the place. And coming in. It was mostly starting with Dr. Octopus. And I loved how Peter was able to finally handle his situation with the arms. Extremely well. Well, especially with the new Iron Spider-ish suit helping him out, and by somehow the nanobots taking over his arms and making him take over the fucking take over the arms, which was great. It allowed him to be more in control of the arms. Or at least it helped him have the ability to be in more control of the arms throughout. So and now it becomes a mission where they try to capture him, and they already immediately do it, and then they find out what they were going to do and what it would have done, and it results in him having to fight Strange this whole time. Man, one of the best fight scenes, by the way, and somehow Peter winning out on this just because he figured out his math and geometry and shit. It's like, know your geometry, kids. Know your geometry. Am I helping to fight with Dr. Strange? That was fun. That was fun. And it gets more fun too, because it's like, and then we get these good dynamics with them, and he gets rid of that. He had the old mask, but he gets rid of the old mask, and somehow he winds up with this hoodie, which gets torn and becomes legitimately, essentially the hoodie. It's just literally him. Like they answered us, man. Like this movie is the right kind of fan service. Even though I will defend Matrix's thing, some people aren't going to see it as such and think it was too meta up its own ass. No one is saying that about this movie at all. I love this movie too much as well. Just holy fucking shit. Sorry. Excuse me. But I love Tom Holland was great. And then finally some redemption for some of these actors, especially Andrew Garfield. And just how they came in through the portals, just how they revealed everything in my theater. Like, hopefully most theaters were, like, clapping and shit. It was quite the theater experience here. Like, I would say I had more of one than I would have said with Matrix, because there wasn't as many people, I'll be honest. Plus, it was late and it was a Sunday night at the time, so, you take what you can get with it, but... Oh, my God. Oh, my God. just, and then, and then when they finally, and he tries to find ways to cure them the whole time, and then they had to go to Helgen's place, and they finally do something with Doc Ock's situation, put in a new thing. Starts to seem like it doesn't work, but then it starts to work, and the banter between them all, Max Dillon's character is a lot better, or at least Jamie Foxx finds a way to make him be more Jamie Foxx, I guess, in a way, but also in a way that makes him seem more badass and makes Max Dillon not as, or at least he's probably the best, a much better interpretation of Electro in a similar way to how they've handled the past couple villains in the past couple movies. Though at least this time it's the other Spider-Verses stuff instead of being... Even though we were expecting to get Kraven the Hunter, I think. Though I have a feeling they're delaying that, and we might get that coming up in this next movie, maybe? I feel like we could do that. That's what could be happening. Because we didn't get Kraven. Though they might have hinted at Kraven and all these other villains that were showing up from the other movies. Or just from in general. But yeah, I think you gotta like pause it to know it. And you're not gonna be able to do that in Vader. So... And I can't wait for a lot of people to finally see this movie and just lose their fucking minds, like we did. And then when he comes through the portal, and then it gets to the point where something happens there, and we get and we find out that what's his face comes back in, the real Goblin, and they just fucking wailing. And the fights between them throughout this movie have been fucking amazing, man, fucking amazing. And it's just fucking glorious how they handled him. And it's like, and he's just punching, wailing him, and he's just, it's just classic Spider-Man Goblin in the same sense as how you would get with Joker and fucking, with Joker and Batman kind of levels of fucking awesome is what fucking happened here. The right kind of way. Just fucking hell yes, man. Fucking hell yes. Fuck! It pumps me up every time I fucking think about it. God damn! And also just... and then the Peter jokes, because now they're all together, and then it just brings Toby in. And they're not no one's phoning it in! No one's phoning it in! They're bringing attention to everything. They're fucking in it. They're in it. Let's make the fucking best Spider-Man movie we ever fucking make with an ensemble. Fuck yes, they fucking did it. Despite the internet's attempt to ruin this fucking movie. And it almost could have. And I think if it did ruin anything, it ruined its chances of being possibly the number one best. But that's already been taken because of Spider-Verse for me. And I wanted to have more an emotional attachment to a lot of the moments that happen in here. But I wanted to, but, I felt them coming a little bit. But just slightly keeping me, but not enough. Not enough to keep me from saying this movie was fucking awesome. And I loved my experience so fucking much that I'm having a hard time picking whether or not I want this fucking movie or Dune at this point in my top stuff. I don't know. I feel as a Spider-Man fan, I should put this up high. I mean, in fact, I'd even go as far as to say it deserves to be number 2 on the Spider-Man list, but number 1 is the best live action. I might have said that earlier in this video. And how the fights happen, and then we find out that he decides to just, the end of this movie, they cure them, and now Strange does what he has to do to fix the spell, and the only way to do it is to basically do the spell as originally planned. Or at least that he had originally planned. and that if to see if that would fix it. And he realized that would be the sacrifice, which means no one else would remember him. And knowing what had happened, and then MJ would have died. But then they did something awesome that was almost a redemptive moment for fucking Garfield's character. With him saving MJ, giving him that second fucking chance, and it was fucking awesome. But it also kind of hurts because it means that Peter failed. That our Peter in this MCU timeline failed to save MJ, and she could have died had it not been for Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. And it was. And they're back and forth, their banter, and then us finding out about the web shooting, and just that whole fucking thing is just fucking awesome, just worth geeking out. And they made it worth their while, and the banter was, everyone was there, they were riffing off, it was like the best, just fucking great. Like, how did you do this shit? I just had to make web cartridges. What? The fuck you do that, man? It's part of you? It's just fucking, it's fucking just everything. Even when the scientist is like, he's trying to say Peter, it's like, also that. It's like, God damn it! And then when they had to sacrifice, and then he was gonna go tell him, and then seeing what they did to them, he couldn't anymore. Which is why it's even gonna be more fucked up if Ned comes back as Hobgoblin. After all this. Then I think it's going to become an even bigger regret that he didn't say anything. You know? And try to make them remember. So, at least him, would have been nice if... Because it sucks, because now he's just alone. And it sucks how they had to end it in a way, but you understand that now he's more grounded, he's more... The dirt poor alone, doesn't have anything, it's just straight up just him... His own web shooters, his own means to... he's more classic Spider-Man, Ditko Spider-Man now. And you see him now flying in the streets and everything. So, just going through the streets and ending it that way. In a classic Spider-Man way. Like the way they did the original origin story films. And that's kind of how this entire trilogy was. And then you also see the Venom, somehow the Venom symbiote got loose, and he's talking to this bartender the whole time, the Tom Hardy one. And you hear him trying to talk through to the symbiote, and then him, Venom, and then him talking to the bartender. It's like, bartender, like, what the fuck's going on? And it turns out that they have, until they're washed back, which means it means nothing, his involvement in this meant nothing other than a sliver of the symbiote that's left over. Which means we're going to get and then the end of this film, there's a second thing, but it's really just the trailer for, essentially a teaser trailer for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. That's all it really amounts to. Essentially. Anyone who's seen that trailer already by this point, since it leaked the Monday after, essentially, I think it got leaked, and then eventually they decided to say fuck it and release it as a teaser. Marvel did. So by that logic, you don't even need to go and finish the movie through the rest of the credits, because it's already out. You've seen it. So I just watched that. You can just watch that separately on your own time. But that mid-credit thing does sort of mean something, in the sense that we're the sliver symbiote, which means now they get to have some sense of... which seems we now know, so a big sliver of the deal was that they could do what they want to do with Venom. It's like, you can still have your Venom do your thing with him. You've already done enough. You've butchered him. We want to do something better with him. And maybe eventually it lead to a better Carnage. I don't know. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe in the next movie, they're going to focus on him as... him getting the suit, and then him facing Kraven, maybe? Because they're talking about the Kraven character already, who's Aaron Taylor Johnson, which was weird given his role in... given that he played Quicksilver in this universe already. I thought it was weird that they did that choice. But whatever. Now even to the point where I don't think anybody knows him, not even the Avengers. Any of the Avengers, which means Strange doesn't even remember him. Though it's possible he could eventually, but I don't know. All I know is I enjoyed the fuck out of this movie. This ending was as perfect as good as it was going to get for an ending. That would have worked in a way that made sense even as a comic book ending, you know? At least to where it makes sense. So now we know where Peter stands. And it sucks that he has not. It just sucks more because I just feel like it sort of sucks because we didn't want to see him not have anything. But it worked as an ending and it made sense. And it was finally something bold that they did. And they stuck the landing with it. Even with MJ's Aunt May's death sucked, but it needed to happen, and she was the one to tell him with great power comes great responsibility. And I love that they eventually had that with the banter with the other Spider-Man from the past movies. And it led to the further chemistry of them. And I love that those characters got to do more than just be there. They weren't just there for a paycheck. There was some love in these movies. And somehow John Watts and Kevin Feige knew what they were fucking doing with the product. They saw what they were doing and saw how much they cared. And they even brought something out of Tom Holland as a Spider-Man to where I think people who might not have liked him might like him even more now. And I think people who've been who weren't able because of the movies the Amazing Spider-Man movies, the way they came across, weren't able to appreciate Garfield's Spider-Man itself as opposed to the movies. And I think now maybe more than ever, they'll get a chance to finally see it to where in a way this almost slightly works almost works not only as the third film in the home trilogy, but also kind of becomes the Spider-Man 4, the Raimi Spider-Man 4, and the Amazing Spider-Man, and kind of sort of the Amazing Spider-Man 3 we all wanted to see in a way as well. And that's what was brilliant about this movie, and I loved everything. I loved everything on this movie and the post-credits. But anyways, that's my spoiler portion. That's all I have to say about it right now that I can think of. If you want to talk more discussion, leave a comment below, let me know. Also, if you liked this video, rock that like button with thrust as you must. Hit the subscribe button, click that notification bell to see more of my videos. Also, link in the descriptions below to other socials, more so my Facebook page where you can like and follow me as well. Amongst other links to some other socials and a couple GoFundMes I think are still active, I think, but that you can support, but that are not really funding me, but for some people that are a couple people that are more in need compared probably way more than me, given circumstances. So, including one of my unfortunate circumstances with my cousin. I kind of mentioned it in another video a while back. But anyways, this is Rockin' Movies with Tyler. I've been Tyler. And as always, keep it random. Keep it random. Keep it random. Keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it rockin'. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care, y'all. Spider! Yeah! Take care, y'all. And give me pictures of Spider-Man! Want pictures of Spider-Man? Spider!